Hey, this is Brian. The other day, about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, I was up in Boulder, Colorado. And I've never been there before, and I pull up in my Volkswagen van again. I've been driving for 2 days, and I get there, and I've got my road bike in there, I've got my mountain bike in there, I've got all my camping gear in there. But I don't know where to camp. I don't know where the rides are. I don't, nothing like that. So I'm like looking around, and I'm just driving through town looking for something that's going to help me find out what I need to do. A mountaineering shop, an REI, or a bike shop, or just something, right? And I see this bike shop, and it's in this big kind of mall, but it's a nice mall, like with all the different, different types of businesses there. And so I finally found my way around through the maze to the store. I get to the store and I walk in, and the only thing I remember when I first walked in is like it was nicely done, right? It was kind of modern, and it was pretty clean and all that kind of stuff. And I'd see a guy like straight through the store. There was an aisle right down the middle, and there was a little desk over there, and he was sitting there kind of hanging out. And I remember the TV going, and there was like it was the Tour de France was playing, so the Tour de France was on, right? So I remember that, that's what I kind of remember. So I talk to this guy, I'm asking him questions like, where can I camp? Where can I this? Where can I that? Where are the rides at? He tries to sell me this funky map they have of Boulder, Colorado, and wasn't what I was looking for. And anyway, I leave the store, and I was thinking about this as I was preparing for this video, like, what do I actually remember about that store? Like, what was my impression, my first impression when I walked into that shop, right? I do not know the name of the store. I cannot remember the name of the store. I do not know what brands they carried in their shop. I don't, all I remember is that on one side of the store, they were setting up their ski display. Like, it was, obviously now in Colorado, it's snowing and cold. And so they're setting up their skis. And on the other side, the bike shop was still active, and it was still beautiful weather out. So there's still bikes and stuff. And that's all I remember. Like, I don't remember the brands they carried. I don't remember the clothing brands that they carried. I don't remember the name of the store, nothing, right? And I'm thinking about this, like, how many shops, when you walk in there, there's just nothing memorable. There's no, my first impression wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. Like, wow, this is a nice store. But there was nothing that grabbed me. Like, the thing I remember is the television was playing. Like, that's not what you want to be remembered for, right? So today in this video, I want to be talking about first impressions. Like, you work so hard to get somebody to come into your store. Hopefully every single day, there's at least one new person walking into your bike shop. What's that first impression that they get of your store? What do they leave with? What's that memorable thing that they leave with? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And before I get too far into this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. We're going to be doing a lot of different content. They're going to be short, sweet little nuggets. And every time I drop one, you're going to be able to get a notification of that. So hopefully these tips are going to help you make more money in your shop. Like, we want to improve your profit. We want to 10x your profit. But we also want to cut back on the hours that you work as a bike shop owner. Now, if you're a store manager, or you're one of the senior employees, or you're just dedicated to this business, like, these videos will be super helpful to you too. Because if you can bring value to the shop that you're in and improve its sales and improve its success, it's going to pay back in a big way to you, right? So all these tips are primarily speaking to owners, but believe me, anybody that's working in a shop that wants to make it great, make that contribution, these videos are going to be for you too. So we've got all kinds of topics we're going to be covering. One of the ones coming up is going to be how to approach a new customer, and this is a gold nugget tip that you're going to use to really, truly, significantly improve your sales and increase your sales. And if you're on commission of any kind, you're going to want to watch this video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when new stuff drops all the time. So let's get back to this. So that first impression, okay? So there's 3 things that you can do to really make a great first impression. There's a lot of things you can do, but I'm just going to touch on 3 of them. And my goal with this video is not to tell you how to do it. It's to get you thinking about what is that first impression that new person is getting when they walk in your business. You've done advertising. You've done, you've given great service to thousands of customers. Those people are out there talking, hopefully in a positive way, right? And now you've got this new person that walks into your shop. Somehow, some way they found you. Maybe they searched you on the internet. Maybe they know a friend. Maybe they just were driving by like I was. So this is the most valuable impression you have to make. When somebody's actually live in your shop, there's nothing better than it. It's better than a website. It's better than social media. It's better than even almost word of mouth, in the sense that now you've got the full control of making that great impression on that new person. And so the first thing you want to do is make sure your shop is clean. Now this seems like a no-brainer, but man, I go to a lot of shops, and I'll tell you, a lot of times these shops are super cluttered, and the reality is that the bike shop owner and the staff and everybody are completely blind to it, because you're the one that you walk into that same place every single day. You walk in the thing, you make your coffee, you start looking at the repair stack, you got like new inventory showing up, like all these things are so like immediate. You're in work mode, right? You never ever take time to like, you're so entrenched in working in your business that you don't take the time to step back and look at your business from a new point of view, or work on your business. So do me a favor, go outside to the front of your store and just walk in with fresh eyes, the freshest they can possibly be, and just look around your shop. Is it clean? Like, is there a lot of clutter? Is there, are the glass countertop, the display cabinets like got fingerprints all over them? Is there boxes on the floor? Has it been vacuumed in a while? Are the bikes dusty? Like all these little things, right? And so it's really an important thing. I remember in a shop I worked at a long time ago, the guy that owned it, anyway, it doesn't matter. The guy that owned it was a dentist, right? And his dad used to be in music somehow, like years and years and years ago, and won a gold record, like had earned a gold record for album sales, right? So one day I walk into our bicycle shop, and directly as I walk in the shop, there's a wall that was kind of like our focus wall that people would, like, the first thing they saw was this wall. And there was always like the hottest bike. There was always a really cool display. There was something to get them to walk into the store and go to that thing, right? And so right there, kind of on the slat wall, kind of hanging a little bit crooked, sort of shouldn't have been on a slat wall at all. It should have been on a normal wall, was this gold record. It was so out of place, but it was so obvious. And I walk in, I'm like, what's this? He's like, oh, I just thought it was super cool. I found it up in the attic of my house. Blah, blah, blah. He threw it up there. I'm like, okay, it's your shop. But it was like totally out of place. Just it added clutter and distraction to what we were trying to do, which was sell bicycles, right? And so it's important that you look at your shop from as fresh of eyes as possible. And keeping things clean and clutter-free is an obvious thing, but it's something that you have to be diligent about, and make sure that you're doing everything you can to eliminate as much clutter as you possibly can. Clutter could literally be a display shelf with 3 different brands of tubes on there. And that, like that alone, that maybe they're all the same basic size, but you bought some from this vendor, you bought some from that vendor, you bought some from these guys, and now you've got, all of them in the, same size, but they're 3 different brands. Like, nobody knows which one's better or which one to buy. You created a question in somebody's brain. So cleaning out that clutter is going to be important, right? Especially if you can see your workshop space. Like a lot of shops today, they've got their shops, like the workshop part, wide open on display, and I absolutely love that idea. However, those countertops can get destroyed within hours, right? There's stuff all over them, and there's tools, and there's products, and there's old parts and new parts. It's just a disaster so many times, right? So if that's what your client is seeing when they first walk in the shop, figure out a way to make that a better impression, okay? So that's something that you want to make sure that you're really always diligent about. Even assign somebody every day to do that kind of a thing. If you have salespeople and you have mechanics, and you've kind of divided your labor up like that, make sure the salespeople are studying how to do retail merchandising, and they're cleaning up the clutter, and they're making things look cleaner, and it's gonna make people walk in and relax. And that is super important. Okay, so enough about that. The next thing you have to have is, so this is number 2, you have to have some kind of a focal point that is super memorable. And it's not necessarily your brand's hottest poster or something, or a bright jersey or something like that, although it could be part of that. It should be something that tells people who you are and what you're all about. Like, so that there's a lifestyle display, but your shop name is boom right there, right? So you want people to remember you. You don't want necessarily people to remember the brands that you carry, although that could be important. You don't want necessarily people to remember, the color, how bright colored your walls were or whatever. You want people to remember your brand and your name, and not just like when they walk in, it's oh, this is really cool. If they don't remember the brand name, your shop name, like I don't remember the shop I walked into to this day, right now, I don't remember what shop it was I walked into in Boulder, Colorado, right? And in Boulder, Colorado, it's pretty competitive. There's a lot of bike shops up there. And I don't, I probably could look it up and figure it out, but, I don't know. So that's a mistake, right? So there should be a big logo somewhere. There should be, maybe you've got some colors that are yours in your branding. Maybe you've got, I don't know, something about you and your shop that's unique. The first shop I started, not the one I first worked in, but the first shop I owned and built with my family was called Octopus Bicycles. And so we had octopus everywhere. Like you knew, like we did our advertising was it was done by a cartoon artist, and it was like an octopus was the superhero in these comic strips that we would put in like the bicycle magazines and things. And so people would come in like expecting to see something like that, and so we would have octopus, like we had artwork, we had cool things on, the displays had octopuses on them. Our logo obviously was a big octopus, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it was very memorable, right? So there was something to focus on, and there was in the second part of that focal point, there's a second reason to have it. One is to create a memorable something, right? So hopefully they remember your brand, your bicycle shop name. That's what you want them to remember. But it could also be something else about that. Maybe there's something seasonal going on. Maybe you have a sale going on for a while. Maybe it's springtime and you want people thinking about, okay, now it's time to start getting my summer clothing or whatever it is. But something memorable, your shop name should be in there. But it also should be something that draws them to a point that you want them to go to in your shop. The design of your floor plan is really important, and we'll get into that in a later video, but that it's important that you're taking them into your business somewhere that kind of gives them now an opportunity. Okay, I came in here for this thing, but here I am looking at this amazing thing. Now what? Now I'm going to start looking around, and now I got to find my bearings, and now what's next? So you want from that point, look at all the different sight lines and say, okay, now how are you going to guide your customer to some other place, right? So you want that focal point to draw them into it, and in some way. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Sometimes it's just something super beautiful, like a beautiful high-end bicycle is super well lit on a really interesting backdrop or something like that with your shop logo up there. That could draw somebody in there just to see this gorgeous bike that's sitting on the wall. It could be a million different things, but you want to take the person from this door into your business, right? So that's the second component of what that focal point needs to do. Okay, so it's memorable and it draws them in, and now once they're in, now they're going to start kind of going around and looking around. So you're going to have them walking by products that they maybe didn't think about when they first walked in, or helmets or clothing or whatever, before they get to the exact thing that they want. This is when I mentioned earlier, going into this bike shop, there was a straight line to the back of the store. I didn't have to look at anything. That's not good shop layout, because now I just missed all the things that maybe I could. Oh, you know what? I forgot to bring this. I need a pair of gloves or something like that, right? Nothing like that. I didn't see anything. I just went straight for this spot that was directly. There was nothing blocking my view as I walked into the store. Nothing grabbed my attention, right? So who knows what I would have purchased had I seen something that was kind of interesting to me, right? And the last thing you want to do on really creating that great first impression is make sure that every customer, no matter what, especially though your new customers, this is their first time coming into your shop, that they leave with something of value. Now this could be good advice. This could be they laughed while they were in your store. They got a big huge smile from you, and you weren't totally stressed out because you had 17 repairs due in a couple of hours, right? It's just something of value. Maybe you give them a a water bottle or a map of the local cycling trail, or maybe that they just got great service from you for something that they were working on, like they brought their bike in. Whatever it might be, make sure that they leave with something of value. That's super important. So you've got make sure your shop is clean. Make sure that you've got a focal point to bring people into something that's memorable and hopefully has your name on there. And make sure that number 3, you're giving them something of value. And that is going to really, truly make a great first impression. So even if they're there just to check you out, funny thing was, I ended up back in Boulder, Colorado like 3 weeks later, unexpectedly. I went there for work, right? And had I remembered the name of that shop, and if it was snowing that time, so I didn't have my bikes with me or anything like that. But if I might have, if it was. But who knows, man? I maybe would have gone there. Or maybe I met somebody on that trip and I could have recommended that shop to them if there was something memorable and exciting about it. But anyway, you just never know what's going to happen with those clients coming in. You work so hard to get them in there. Make sure it's a great experience for those people. There's some simple things you can be doing, but start looking at your shop with fresh eyes and try to step away every once in a while and look at it as a new client, a new customer walking into your shop for the very first time. What is that first impression that they get, and how can you make it better? There's always something we can do, especially in the slow months, in the wintertime. You could paint a wall, you could do a new display, you could change the layout of the store, you could, there's lots and lots of things you can do. But anyway, have fun with it. Talk to you later. Bye.